Southern Sleuth again, and it's time for another Nancy Drew analysis. Which breed of dog would each Nancy Drew video game character have? I do have plans to branch out and do a few other types of videos too and gain some channel diversity, but this is what I know how to do right now, so these are faster to get out, but hopefully I can start sprinkling in some other types of videos too, so be on the lookout. This is video 9, I think, of at least 35, considering we have 34 games, plus I did a main characters video, but hopefully many more. So if you haven't already watched video number 1 about this series, go back and take a look. It'll give you some further context. And you can find out if Carson Drew gets a lapdog or another wild thing he has to worry about running around the world without him. Although we usually spin the wheel, I did cheat a little this time. Due to Key coming out back on May 7th of 2024, I thought it was fitting to go ahead and give these characters the dogs they deserve. Also, Prog and Dog Rhyme, which I couldn't pass that up. I will admit it's taken me almost a month to decide on the dogs, and then a little bit more to even put this video together, obviously. But, you know, I had to play the game, and then I had to play it again. And then I had to analyze characters I hadn't known for years, and honestly that was harder. Most of the time when I do these videos, I played these games multiple times, people have headcanons, there's, fake quotes from them, things that pull on personality. This time I had to go in kind of just on my own. I also was hoping for a dog in Prague, but I'll take what they gave us with a smile on my face, or whiskers on my face. Please note that this video will contain some fairly major spoilers due to the nature of these characters' roles, so if you've not yet completed Mystery of the Seven Keys, I do recommend skipping this video and waiting for the next one. Go catch up on the others you might have missed up until this point. Alright, leave this video in 3, 2, 1. Let's get sleuthing, y'all. I thought it would make perfect sense to start out with the woman who brought us to Prague in the first place. But I also want to preface that I am not Bohemian. I am Southern, clearly, and I am going to butcher some of these names, so y'all just be patient with me. Adela Cherna is thankfully one of the easier ones to say, and she was one of the easier ones to pick a dog for. I was recommended a Saluki by Jetpack of Gooba and Jetpack, but a Saluki is actually already chosen for a future video. If you look them up though, you'll see why she recommended them. Her hair, or the dog's hair, is spot on. As well as actually an Afghan hound, if you look those up too. Those will also show up in a later video. I had to go more history based with this dog breed than looks based. Her appearance and lifestyle, Adela's, means many to believe that she's noble, but she tells us that she's actually happier to have a more laid-back lifestyle. She's suspicious of people, but does accept them when they prove themselves to her first, even if that proof is a lie. She adapts quickly to the new information that Nancy provides to her, and ultimately just wants to do the right thing. So for Adela, I chose a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. Now before you come at me, yes, the Charles Spaniel used to be a dog of nobility, and Adela never was a noble. However, the Charles Spaniels in those old portraits that you see ain't the same dog breed that we have today. At some point, they were interbred with a few other breeds of dogs that make what we know as the Charles Spaniel. And in the 1920s, they actually tried to recreate the original Charles Spaniel, but the line just was never the same as it was back then from what I could find out. And so basically you've got a dog faking being the same royal bloodline from way back when. Adela may not be purposely faking, but she certainly gets mistaken. The Spaniel also just usually wants a more laid back, barnyard kind of lifestyle anyways too, just like Adela. So they're happy to live out of the spotlight with their owners. They are also able to keep up with an active lifestyle, making them adaptable to all of Adela's travels. They can do well living with just one other person and do not have to be over-socialized. From the way Adela would dismiss us from the table, I'd say she's okay with not being over-socialized too. Next on my list is Patricia Witkowski. Close enough. Good old Patty. Hey, is her hair pink or just a weird shade of blonde? Asking for a friend. What we do know about her, though, is that she's very friendly and willing to help out all of her customers, even the ones, like us, that she barely knows. Unlike some of the other characters, she does not dismiss us with a rough attitude, nor does she make us feel like we're bothering her if we ask to make some coffee. Perhaps she is as warm as the coffee she brews. Susie of Susie Should Be Sleeping suggested Patty needed some type of teacup dog as a nod to the coffee cup. Since I'd already assigned things like the Chihuahua and the Yorkie by the time I was doing this video, they're actually in my first video, go check it out, I couldn't use those. They were obviously taken, so I had to do a little digging. To fit in a cute coffee cup, I finally decided on a Silky Terrier. The Silky Terrier is a cross between a Yorkie Terrier and an Australian Terrier that eventually got bred into its own recognized breed many decades ago. But if you saw one out in the wild, you'd probably just assume it was a Yorkie. They are a dog that thrives on attention, and when you work at a public place like a coffee shop, you don't want a dog that's going to be terrified of your patrons. They also can be really good watchdogs, which would be useful to know if someone was coming in if Patty had to step away for a moment. I mean, who needs a door chime when you've got a watchdog? These dogs can't play rough though, which is fine. Patty's used to handling finicky coffee making equipment, so a little dog would be fine too, right? I know people describe coffee as like earthy, floral, smooth, bitter, but how cute would it be to have a coffee named after the Silky Terrier, a Silky Coffee? What do you think would be in a coffee called Silky? I don't drink coffee, so I'm just going to have to take y'all's words for it. But if you do drink coffee and you could think of one that might be described as silky, pop it in the comments, let me know. Alright, it's time to leave the cafe and go explore the beautiful city of Prague. If you head out, turn right, use the free roam to sprint, don't run into any of the repeating NPCs just trying to enjoy an actual vacation, you'll run right into the museum/jewelry store, and it is there that you will find our next dog owner, Oscar Dvorak. In all honesty, I don't see him as the type to own a pet at all, maybe a few plants, but he would not want to take the chance on any of his precious artifacts getting bumped into by a pet, even if he will let an amateur detective both mess with and steal them. But since this series is all about dog ownership and not plant ownership, he doesn't get a choice. If he's going to have to get a dog, it is going to be a dog that is elegant and has a long history. It would need to be incredibly intelligent and talented, and if the dog would not sit beside him tall and proud, he wouldn't be able to bring it into the museum to hang out with the knight. Perhaps if he had a dog, no one would be able to wander around the museum at night and take items from ancient artifacts. Anyways, so when you Google some of the smartest dogs, the one that kept popping up is the Weimaraner. They're known as the dog with a human brain. Since everyone else seems to keep avoiding Oscar for some reason, looking at you, Leo, maybe he would benefit from the intellectual conversation he could have with this gray glory. Weimaraner is a loyal and protective dog, and with some good training can be a well-behaved addition to the family. Plus, imagine how amazing they would both look in suits side by side. Sorry, I had to. The biggest downside, though, is that the Weimaraner requires quite a bit of exercise to stay calm. But with the ability to sprint in Prague, that dog can be worn out in no time. They also don't really love having other animals around, but Oscar doesn't seem to be the biggest fan of having others around either, so really, match made in heaven. If you exit the museum, but stay inside the building, head to the opposite side, we will enter a very sterile jewelry store where you might get tackled to the ground if you so much as breathe in the wrong direction. Vladena Zlati, or female Severus Snape as I like to call her, is definitely not the friendliest character in the game. We get insulted upon our first encounter with her, and it really doesn't go up from there. When I was a kid, there was a particular breed of dog that always had aggression towards me. Me, the dog lover, which might have been why I was always up in their faces. Anyways, so my history with this breed may have influenced this decision, but it still makes sense overall. If you own this breed, apologies in advance. I gave good old Vladdy a West Highland Terrier, better known as a Westie. As a terrier, these dogs are, you guessed it, territorial. It can be harder to train the stubbornness out of them as well. On the positive side, they are highly intelligent, which Vladdy obviously is if she's able to run her own jewelry store, even though she doesn't excel at all aspects of it, which you may know. Hopefully you know. Hopefully you're not watching this video not knowing the ending. Good gracious. They have minimal shedding, which is good to avoid hair all over the jewelry, and they also have fewer exercise needs, which is beneficial to someone who walks around in heels all day. Like Vladena, they are prone to seeing themselves as bigger than they are. Westies want to be big dogs, and Vladena wants to be a big fish in the jewelry pond. They say when you want to get rid of a bad habit, you need to replace it with something else. Perhaps having a dog to take care of would fill some of the voids in Vladdy's life and keep her out of trouble and keep her from insulting the wrong person. Next, let's leave the castle square, head to the other side of Prague, and find where past meets future. I think there's probably a missed opportunity there to call it Loquat as a play on apple and a nod to the Crystal Skull, but that probably wouldn't have made any sense in Prague. Funny, but inaccurate. What would be the fruit of Prague? I don't know. I just know dogs. Either way, we meet some of my favorite characters in Apparat, and the first one we come across is Elka Strojniek, just pretend I said that right, herself. She's spunky, capable, and outgoing. It takes her no time at all to spill the beans about her crush on Radek and bring us into her life like an old friend. While a lot of the characters in Key would appreciate a dog with a good respected history, Elka's far more worried about what's going to go on in the future to be worried about a breed's history. Elka is a little cheeky and can be a little mischievous, so that's why I ended up choosing a Schipperke for her. Although they look like a bigger Pomeranian, they're really more closely related to sheepdogs. With their fox-like faces, you can expect them to be sly and a bit of a trickster. They are extremely inquisitive and can be wary of strangers, but are good at acting non-threatening while they assess the situation. Their mischievous sense of humor requires a lot of close attention to make sure they aren't messing with things they shouldn't. Elka would probably have her hands full with the Schipperke, but that's honestly what she needs right now. Someone clearly has too much free time. If we head over to the old side of Apparat, we meet up with Elka's grandfather, Merrick. I immediately pictured him with an old soul of a dog that lounges happily on the floor all day and often gets mistaken for a rug. After thinking about it though, Merrick is not a lazy old man with his best days behind him, so he wouldn't pick a dog that couldn't keep up with him. The dog would definitely be wary because of the way Merrick has to inspect someone before allowing them into his inner circle. His obsession with Prague and its past means, unlike Elka, he probably would pay special attention to the breed he chooses and would want something that reflects his love of Prague's history. So after finding a website that lists a few breeds of dogs considered to be native to Prague, I settled on a Bohemian Shepherd for Merrick. These shepherds are absolutely gorgeous. Think long-haired German Shepherd. These shepherds are really good family dogs and become very loyal very quickly, making them a really good choice for a family man like Merrick. They have a history of being hardworking, which also falls in line with Merrick. Then I realized getting a guard dog would really be perfect for Merrick. With his aversion to modern technology, I can only imagine what type of security system is on his side of the shop. Though it has to be better than the museum. But anyways, I realized he might actually get an old school guard dog to watch his shop while he's out. With a big old Bohemian Shepherd growling, ain't nobody gonna rob Apparat. Not even the puppet of death himself. Oh, look who just came walking in after I said puppet of death. The puppet master himself, Radek Nepovim, whose last name I can barely say. Anyone who says they didn't get excited the first time they saw him pop up on the screen is a liar. We had months of waiting to meet him in person, and for me, he did not disappoint. Radek also loves the history of Prague, and he's so excited to share his love and knowledge of it. His personality draws in the locals and tourists alike, and he comes across as non-threatening and warm, which helps to lure in the younger fans. If Radek wants to add a dog to his lineup, he would definitely need a dog that would not scare away his audience, but instead might actually add to his show. It would have to fit into his trailer as well, and fit into his love of Prague's history. Much like Merrick, I chose a Prague dog that's thought to be native in Prague, the Prague Ratter, which I'm not even going to pretend I can pronounce the Czech name, but it's the perfect little match for Radek. For easy reference, it resembles a Chihuahua, but they are actually rarely seen outside of the Czech Republic. Oops, I just hit the mic. Hopefully y'all don't hear that too badly. The Ratter thrives on attention, and this makes them easier to train. It really wouldn't take too much for Radek to train the little dog to play a role in his puppet show. Out of all the characters we see, which one would you give to the Ratter? Let me know in the comments. Additionally, the Ratter would fit in nicely in his trailer and doesn't need a big area to run around in. The Ratter does want to stay close to its owner and would be small enough to fit in a pocket or a helmet, if you know you know. Something like that. Radek would have to be careful though, because the Ratter can be smaller than your average cat, which can mean danger for a Ratter that's left unattended by all those cats his cart claimed were roaming around Prague. I'm just saying. people complain about the repeating NPCs, but I guarantee they would not complain about repeating kitty NPCs. Just saying. Now let's head back over to the castle. Or maybe he's in the cafe? Or wait, did he leave on his plane already? Where the heck did Leo Sokol go? Our adorable Dean has a way of disappearing and reappearing in this game in a way that makes him seem faster than he should be. He loves card games, even though we don't get to play them with him, spending time with friends, coffee, and cats. I know he will need a breed of dog that can hang out with the cat and not become a huge issue. The cat already apparently knocks books off the lower shelf, which I was really disappointed to see 0 books knocked out. But we don't need a big dog chasing poor Mariage, something, and knocking books off the top shelf too. So, what do you get a kind, wrinkly old man? A kind, wrinkly old dog. The Shar-Pei is a hilarious and adorable looking breed with all of its wrinkles and quirks. Do not let their silliness fool you though. They can be very strong when they need to be, and have even been known to be guardian dogs. However, most of the time they're pretty calm and serene dogs and would happily lay under his feet while he plays a game. A Shar-Pei can actually even be trained to pick up a card that he drops and would be helpful to keep his stack together. The Shar-Pei also can be an independent dog, which is good with Leo's tendency to disappear on us. Speaking of characters who don't show up much, we have our last character of Zane Garrett. Unfortunately, we do not get to learn much about him from his absence in the game, but he still gives off strong personality traits of being sure and confident in himself, as well as proactive and capable. He is a secret agent, which probably controls most of his life. Whatever dog he got would have to fit into that lifestyle and assist instead of becoming a hindrance. Most of our working characters get a working dog. So why not give Zane a Czech wolf dog? It is essentially the Czech equivalent of a military dog. A wolf dog isn't legal everywhere, but I am sure he could get some sort of special permission, right? The wolf dog might look down on other dogs and feel superior, which is kind of the air that Zane gives us when he talks about the local authorities towards the end of the game. This breed tends to be lively and courageous and would not fear a culprit any more than Zane would. They are suspicious of strangers, but tend to be more quiet and aware than barky and impulsive. I'm not sure if Zane has to sneak around in his job, but at least his canine companion wouldn't give him away. The worst part might be the shedding. It would definitely get all over his purple suit. Well, ahoy everyone! That's all of our characters for Key. When I started this series, I was feeling the vibes that Key would come out soon and we would have new characters to look at. But I didn't imagine that they would be so much fun to pick dogs for. Who knew Prague had so many cute dogs in their history? Even more reason to be disappointed we didn't get a dog in the game. Not that I don't appreciate our cat. I'm just picturing Radek's little rat dog chasing some puppet strings while he tries to put on a good show. As it is, maybe we can get a dog in Game 35. For now, please enjoy these videos and let me know in the comments what breed of dog you think these characters would own, or if you have an idea for a game I haven't done yet. Also, don't forget to let me know which character Radek's dog would play in the puppet show. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking it and giving me a follow. You can also find me on Instagram under the same name. Happy sleuthing, y'all!